Hey guys, welcome to another episode of From the Heart. I'm so excited. I have a special guest on, Katy Johnson. Say hi.
Hi.
Welcome to From the Heart. Thank you so much for coming on. I low-key, I'm not gonna lie, you guys, I fangirled when I even saw that you followed me. Like, backstory before she even introduces herself, you guys. I had seen Katy on TikTok like a long time ago. Like I was on teacher TikTok, which is so funny because I'm not even a teacher. One of my good friends though was or is, and we would send videos back and forth, and we were sending yours back and forth. And I literally texted her. I'm like, oh my gosh, guess who follows me? I'm like, no way. And so yeah, I had a little fangirl moment. I adore you. So I'm so excited to have you on. We have some fun questions to chat about. I feel like this episode is going to be so great. But Katy, do you want to just give us like a brief little introduction on who you are, what you're about?
Yeah. So my name is Katy. A lot of people don't even know I have a first name. They also just kind of know me as Miss Johnson, which is not only my students, like the world is like, oh my gosh,
It's
you
funny
have a
because
first name.
I like saw Katy and I'm like, whoa, like she's not
Yeah.
just Miss
She
Johnson because I
doesn't
had
have
to like,
she yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I am a teacher. And ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a teacher, but also ever since I was a little kid, since I was like 12, I would film YouTube videos in my room. And my mom never let me post them, but I've always been into like vlogging since I was like 12. And then I kind of got to combine those when I was in college. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to combine them when I become a teacher. And so then I just kind of did. I actually started out on YouTube and I posted on YouTube for like 4 years ago for like a year. And I was like, okay, I just cannot handle this. So now I'm on TikTok and Instagram. And I really just share my love for teaching, but it's been really cool because I've been able to like expand from it and share everything, lifestyle, fitness, Jesus, all the things.
I
Um,
love it.
so yeah, that's
Yeah.
me.
That's like what gravitated me towards you because you had like such a wide niche as well. Because I'm like, I love the teacher content, but I'm like, wow, there's like so much depth to your content. Like it's more than just like teaching tips. Like you share like the behind the scenes of like your life and you. And I love that. Like it's so fun to like watch your journey and your day. I'm upset. Like I love your TikTok. It's so fun. Um,
That's something I knew I wanted.
yeah,
Like I didn't
yeah,
want to only do teacher stuff because
yeah.
like I mean, teaching is like a very, very huge portion of my life, but I'm like way more than just a teacher. And I feel like the second a lot of teachers only make their content teaching is when they start getting like burnt out and then they're like, what should I make videos on? I don't know. And I just did not want that to be the case.
No,
So
I
yeah.
completely relate on the sense of like fitness. I'm like, I'm more than just working out and in the gym. Like, there's more I want to share and there's more I can offer. And
Yeah.
so I love that we both have found that because it does make what we do so much more fulfilling and enjoying and just fun. It's more us, you can keep it real. So I love that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to jump into the first question. So, one thing that I love about your content, kind of like we mentioned, you talk about a lot about your fitness journey and fitness, and it's obviously a big component in your life. I saw you just went out with Bucked Up, which is amazing. Congrats. That's so
Thanks.
exciting. I was like cheering you on. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's huge. That's so
Yeah.
cool. And
It was
especially
really cool.
because you're a teacher and that's like a fitness brand. Yeah, I just want to hear more about like your fitness journey, how it started, why it started, kind of your goals right now. Yeah, so you can just
Yeah.
elaborate on that.
Well, I played sports my whole life, and I actually ran track in college, which I don't think a lot of people know. But yeah, I was a pole vaulter, which is people are like, what? Like they always get blown away, which is literally why like I have massive traps, literally just from pole vaulting. But I did that in all through high school and then my freshman year of college. And then for other reasons, I had to move home from college. And so I wasn't on the team anymore. And I went through like the ginormous shift of being an athlete my whole life to being like, holy crap, how do I work out by myself?
Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't work out. Like I just went from 0 or like 100 to 0 so fast. But still was like eating the same and like living a very similar lifestyle. And so without me knowing, I was just gaining weight and I didn't know. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I was so not worried about my body. I had no body image. Like I had no, I don't know, that I didn't even know I was gaining weight. And I would still like wear the clothes that were
Yeah.
definitely small on me.
Yeah.
Um, and then it wasn't until COVID, which was my senior year of college, um, that my friends and I like we all had to come home because no one could be at college anymore.
Yeah.
And we started like biking and doing like the Chloe Ting workout
Yeah.
video.
Oh yeah, I totally
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was like, wait, I didn't realize how kind of like I had lost my body. Like I wasn't aware of it. Um, and so then I was like, oh, I really like this. And I was starting to see like kind of results. And so I was like, this is cool. And then I thought, okay, I'll get like a gym membership once like the gyms open back up.
Yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, I started going, but I really didn't know anything. I only knew how to lift like from track, like, which is like powerlifting and like
Yeah.
explosiveness. And I
Yeah.
didn't do anything. Um, and then, yeah, I just started getting really into it. I actually like met this guy that we're not together anymore, but he was so into fitness and it made me be like, wait, he taught me so much. I got into fitness.
That's great.
And then I just kind of never stopped. That was, yeah, 2020. And I decided like, oh, I want to be a trainer. So I got like my personal training certificate.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like certified, like I'm a NASM
That's
trainer, which
amazing.
is funny because so many people are like, can you train me? And I'm like, if I had time in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then yeah, I just honestly never stopped. And I'm lucky because I haven't ever had like a crazy downslope. Like, I mean, there's obviously been like fluid times of like, oh, I'm just not as motivated right now or whatever. But for the most part, I've like been able to stay very disciplined. Um, so yeah. And my other part of it is that I love food. Like I am a food girl.
Same.
And if like not, I don't know, this is kind of like hard to say and it might be cliche, but like if I didn't work out, the amount of food I eat it just wouldn't be healthy for my body. Like I just love eating. And to me, I know like, okay, if I can work out 5 days, six
Yeah.
days a week, then I feel good that I can like kind of eat and do what I want, you know?
Builds a
Uh,
healthy like relationship with yourself too. That's good that you've like found that
yeah.
perfect balance because
Yeah.
people definitely struggle with that, I think. So
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Well, and like I definitely had a season probably in like 20, it was like 2021, 20, yeah, probably like 2021, where I definitely went through disordered eating
Oh,
patterns. Like
yeah.
I was so restrictive. I found my fitness pal
Yeah.
and I was like,
We've
this,
all
and
been there, I feel
yep.
like.
And it tells you like you type in your demic
Yeah.
whatever, and it's like, okay, 1,200 calories a
Yeah.
day. And you're like, okay. Oh, and it was
It's
horrible. Like
starving and yeah.
oh my gosh, I remember I have this memory. I was in Disney World with my family, and one, I wasn't eating like any of the Disney food. Like my family would get like churros, and I would walk up and grab like an apple. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
But I was at dinner one time in Disney World, and I asked for grilled chicken and veggies for that's it. And it came with like oil and butter on the meal. Normal because that's what you cook with.
Yeah.
And I started crying at the table. Like I was like, I can't eat this. Like oh my gosh. And then at that point, my sister-in-law like sat down with me and was like, Katie, like I
Yeah.
think,
Oh,
you know,
bless your heart for
I've
like,
struggled with that. I've kind of gone through it all. And
yeah.
so yeah, but I just love fitness. I love staying active. I love pushing myself. It's my me time at the end of the school
Yeah.
day.
Right.
It's yeah.
I love how like you literally go straight from school to the gym, right? Like you are like that's such good discipline and such a good routine to have. Every
Yeah.
time I'm like, wow, like she really just taught all day and now she's at the gym. I have no excuse for being tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely relate to the being an athlete and that kind of transition into training. It's like weird. You lose your identity a bit and then you kind of refine it in the gym a little bit. Like that competitiveness comes back out with yourself. And yeah, it's definitely a good correlation I found.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like too, also everyone who gets into the gym, gets into fitness, goes through that My Fitness Pal era. Like we all love it. And then I feel like we kind of like over love it, crash and
Yeah.
burn, but then it like stems and kind of creates like such a beautiful, healthy relationship. I feel like a lot of us have to go through that, lull and that struggle. But then
Oh,
fortunately, most people we make it out and we learn a lot from it. But I feel like that also too helps you like appreciate where you're at now even more. And I feel like that's probably why you have such a good, healthy balance with everything because we've been on kind of both ends of the spectrum. And similarly with me, I'm like, it sucks going through it, but I'm grateful it happened for sure because again, I've learned so much and I can help people too who are like also going through that. So that's so cool.
yeah, 100%. And as my students, I see it a lot with
Yeah.
teenagers and I like pick up on it and it makes me sad because I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been there.
Yeah.
And a lot of teenagers, especially because I was also a cheerleader. So like in the cheer and dance realm can be very,
Yeah.
very negative with food relationships. And so I've noticed how much it's like my past experience has helped me talking with my students and like my girls, and I'll notice little habits and I'm like, girl, I was there, like it, I don't know, even though I wish I didn't go through that. If I didn't, like,
Yeah.
I would not have the knowledge I have now, the like relationship I have now. the ability to like relate to others, it
I'm
helps.
sure you've helped so many students because you worked in a high school. I don't know if people know that, but like that is, I feel like, a very heavy percentage of the people who are struggling with that are high school aged girls.
Yeah.
And so that is such a cool way for you to be able to connect with them and help them, because I feel like I wish I would have had a teacher, you know, to reach out to me almost like you're with them all the time and they trust you and they adore you and you're like their big sister, like their mom figure, you know? So I'm sure like that was a really cool, helpful experience for them.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah, the
It's fun
girls
stuff.
literally, I feel like they become my little sisters.
Oh,
Like
I'm
I
sure.
like I get so like protective of them,
Yeah.
and like I know everything about them. They tell me everything from like their eating to like their boys to like their Sheen orders. Like I get like everything in
Yeah.
between and I love it. I'm like so here for it. Every day they come in like, oh, you'll never guess what I have to tell you today. And I'm like,
Oh my goodness.
tell me.
Let's hear it.
What is
I love that. I
it?
love that. Aw. It's so nice to just like hear such a healthy, fun relationship with like school. Like I'm sure you have made people and your students enjoy like learning and education and just showing up, because I know school is like it can be like the best part of a lot of people, like students' days. Like some people don't go home and have a great life. So the fact that you can create such a beautiful, safe space for them, like I don't
Yeah.
know. I hope you know how much they appreciate that and like how much of a difference you're making for people in that area, because that's huge. That really, really is. And I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Which is why I wanted to start a TikTok, because I wanted to show people how positive teaching can be.
mhm,
Because I was in this realm, especially when I was like student teaching and getting into teaching,
yeah.
where it was so negative. Like everyone's just complaining about it. Like it was just all complaints. And I was like, do people like teaching? Like, why? How are all these people loving teaching for so long and now everyone's just complaining about it? And I realized it was just the environment that social media was kind of putting out was like
Mhm.
complaints. I don't know. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I'm gonna go on and show that I love it instead
That's
of, you
amazing.
know,
Yeah.
um, which
Because
is
too, I'm sure you've like inspired other girls and guys to like, you know, pursue education and teaching as a career, because you are shining a beautiful light on it. Because I have seen a lot of those, like a lot of that content that you're talking about, just kind of shining a poor light on teaching and how hard it is and how mistreated they are and how just difficult the education system can be. But the fact that you can show how beautiful it is, like I love that, because we need more of that. And I think too, it's social media makes such an impact on us, and like the filter we put on any topic or anything, like that's what people see and that's the lens that they're looking through. So you can make such an impact just based on how you portray it. So the fact that you're choosing positivity and the good side is so important, and I condone you for that, because that's huge. Like that is like honestly paving such a big path for education, you know, like you influence a lot of people, you know, like you have a very big reach. So the fact that you're able to connect with a lot of teachers or soon to be teachers or people contemplating like, is teaching for me? And they see you, like I'm sure they're more inspired, you know, to be a teacher and to be a good teacher and to build those relationships. Like you
I
do
hope. And
a lot.
it's so funny because when I was this weekend, I got to go to Bucked Up, like you said, and everyone's like, oh, with your reach, you have such a big reach. And I remember I don't feel like I do. Like I don't, it's so weird to me because I still just feel like I'm like this little tiny little girl that just is like uploading videos for funsies. I don't think I like fully grasped it, or I still don't really grasp it.
Yeah.
But like just last night I was scrolling on my phone because obviously I'm switching to fifth grade, which I think we'll get into
Yes.
later.
Yeah.
I was like watching other fifth grade teachers and just like learning from them and following all of them. And like I woke up this morning to like 3 or 4 DMs from the teachers I followed being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you followed me. And I was like, wait, I'm like looking at you for insight.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just kind of funny how TikTok works in that way. Like you feel like, I don't know, you like feel like I was like, oh my gosh, they are the influencer.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm no one. Cause like we know ourselves and it's
Yes.
just green. I don't know if that makes sense, but
No,
it's
it's such a hard concept to wrap your mind around, because it's not something we were born into. Like it's a new realm and you can grow really quickly and really fast. And it's like, oh my gosh, but like your day to day is still pretty, like you're still you. Like you haven't changed. Like the core of you is the same person. So it's so weird when people, yeah, no, I experience the same thing. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, hold up. Like,
which is it's yeah, it's funny. My boyfriend that I'm dating right now, we actually dated like a year and a half ago, like almost 2 years ago.
yeah.
And we dated before I started my TikTok. So like we were dating and then I started my TikTok in the middle of us dating and then we ended up breaking up just for other reasons. Like we do long distance. And so we kind of were like, is this gonna work? I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
But
tough.
anyway, and now like now we're back together and he like in my mind, I'm just the same exact person. And he
Yeah.
said it too. He's like, you're just still Katy. Like, I don't know. But now like I post it, like I'll post you and all my friends are like, oh my gosh, I know her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's my
That's,
boyfriend thinks it's really funny.
I'm sure. I'm sure that's such a cool experience for him though to see like the growth and the impact that you've made because he's kind of followed you through the whole journey. And
Yeah.
a lot of people, like the guy I'm dating, he's only known me since as of the last 6 months, you know? So like he hasn't known that side of me. So it is really cool that he can like fully see the progression and like appreciate that for you
Yeah.
and kind of cheer you on throughout that. I love it.
And he's so cute. He like doesn't do social media. He like was raised on a ranch and like he's like kind of a cowboy. And so
Yeah.
he like has no clue about any social media. And he has a TikTok and he follows two people and it's me and my personal account.
Oh my gosh,
And
that's so
I love it. I'm like, okay, cool,
he just
thanks.
scrolls and sees your face all the time.
It's
That's
only
amazing.
me.
I love it. I love it. So moving on to the next question, I just wanted to, we've kind of touched on it, but was there any like specific like moment where you knew you like wanted to be a teacher? Or did you just kind of always have a feeling? Like was there kind of like an aha moment?
I always wanted to be a teacher my whole life. Well, I'm sure when I was like 5, I wasn't thinking that, but um, my third grade teacher is who made me want to be a teacher. Like
Okay. You know
he,
what's so crazy? I had like an amazing third grade teacher too, and I considered being a teacher for a while. Like my mom
yeah,
wanted to be a teacher, she went to social work, but then it was always kind of on my heart to be like,
yeah,
oh, like I could, like I like teaching people. I just essentially teach people about fitness now, not in an education system, but no, I had a really good third grade teacher, and they
yeah,
literally,
yeah, he was like the one that made me want to be it. And for the longest time, I thought, okay, I'm going to be an elementary teacher all the way through. And then once I went to high school, I had another teacher that like was just the best support system. Like he supported me. I TA'd for him. I was his student. I like came back and visited. I babysat his kids. Like just totally like took me under. And then he actually was the teacher that helped me get hired back at my high school,
oh
which was
yeah, that's
super
right.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I thought like saw the position, I texted him and he was like, I got you. And so I think that definitely teachers were what made me want to be a teacher. And then yeah, and then once I got in it, I was like, this is what I'm built
Yeah.
for.
I
Like
feel
this,
like teachers, a lot of like I mean, every teacher's a great teacher, but like those ones who just like absolutely love their job, I feel like they just know, you know, like my friend, she knew since like grade school, she's like, I'm gonna be a teacher, and she's just like one of the greatest teachers ever as well. Like the things she does, I just like love watching her. Social media too, and I'm like, some people I feel like are just born to be teachers and like born to like educate and influence and lead like children and kids, and it's so cool because I see that in you as well. But I definitely think you're gonna be that teacher for a lot of your students who are like, I want to be a teacher because Miss Johnson. Like I can totally see it because like you make me want to be a teacher. I'm like, I'm not gonna be, I can be a teacher, but like you just make it look so like fulfilling and enjoying, or enjoying isn't the right whatever word, you know, like you make it look like you have so much fun and like you absolutely do love your job. And I'm sure there's highs and lows like every job, but again, like you just make it seem like such a positive experience. And I think that's so cool because we need a lot more of that, I feel like, because teachers are very underappreciated, and like I just think that you reappreciate the whole career path in its entirety, in my opinion. I don't know too much about teaching, but from like what I see, I just feel like you've really influenced it in a very, very good, positive way.
well,
Um,
thank you. That like means a
awesome. Yeah.
lot.
And I'm curious, do you have any like tips for teachers? Anything throughout your journey that you've learned? I know you taught high school. We're going to talk in a second. Now you're going to be transitioning. So if you have any tips on that, but just for any listeners who are going to be soon to be teachers or teachers themselves, yeah, any tips?
This is so cliche. And they say this in like in when you're in like college and in your classes, but like remember your why. They always say that. Like remember why you're doing it. But for me, my why is the kids. So
Yeah.
like I remember I'm doing it for the kids. I am not doing it for my administration. I'm not doing it for the parents. I'm not doing it for my coworkers. And that is something that I had to keep reminding myself because the sad truth of going into education when you're young and you have all this energy and you want to do all this stuff is that you get in and then people that have been there for longer
Uh,
like kind of like poo poo that, like they like shut that down on you,
yeah.
like oh well just wait and like you won't be doing that in a couple
Mhm.
years, or like oh like ugh, I would never spend that long making a worksheet. And it's like, okay, cool. But like, can't you let me do it? You know?
Yeah.
Um, and so once I stopped doing it to please like my co-teachers or like my administration or like just the adults, whatever,
Yeah.
was the second that I like felt so released. And I was like, this is the best job ever, because the cool thing about it is that kids are like so forgiving. They don't have that high of expectations. And so, like, not that they're hard to let down, but like if you just give them like what all you're all
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
that, it is more than what 95% of their teachers are doing. So like that's, I don't know, that always helped me. Um, but then I will also tell like new teachers that yes, the first like 1 or 2 years is hard. So like it is okay if you're like, this is exhausting. I don't think I can do this for the rest of my life. We've all felt it. It does get easier. Like right when you're in like your third year, and I'm sure that's with every job. Like once you're like in it and you understand it, it's so much less exhausting
Yeah.
because now you're not spending all the energy like creating things or thinking how you're going to do it. It just becomes like muscle memory. And
Yeah.
then you can spend more time like doing the things you want to do, you know?
Yeah.
Like I feel like it took me like my 3 or 4 years to get to the way I like teaching. And now I have everything's ready. All the copies are ready. Like I know how to do it. I can handle it a lot better.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I would also encourage new teachers, like, it's okay if you struggle for that 1 or 2 years. That's just like kind of how it is, which I feel like is every job. Like no
Yeah.
one starts their first job and it's like, oh, this is the breeze. Like
Yeah.
it's always a hard
Definitely
transition.
like a break-in period, I feel like, where you gotta, experience all the firsts and kind of learn what works, what doesn't. But yeah,
Yeah,
good to know.
that would be what I would say.
Yes, I love that. No, I think those are super helpful.
Yeah.
And then I'm curious, has there been anything that teaching has taught you? Because obviously you're teaching students all day, but what have they taught you or just the job itself?
Yeah, probably kind of like what I was saying a little bit of like it's not as serious as we make it. And like it doesn't need like the kids, they don't have these high expectations. And obviously it's a little different teaching high school, like they're a little more developed, but especially with younger kids, they're just so like filled with life and like filled with joy. They don't let those like little things get
Yeah,
them, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Like
oh, absolutely.
I don't know. And so just to have that mindset. So
Mhm.
like I remember in the beginning, I would put so much pressure on myself. Like if I had a substitute or something, be like, oh my gosh, I need to make the perfect lesson. It needs to be perfect. And I hope they get it done. And da da da. And I realized 3 years in, like they're okay. Like they understand if you have a bad day or if you can't be there or if a lesson isn't that great because if you've seen their pattern from before, they know like, okay, she is good. She's just trying. And I don't know, kids are just so much more forgiving than I feel like adults are, and so it's taught me, like, to be more forgiving with myself, if
I
that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So even you saying that, it's like I do wish sometimes I still had the mindset that I did in high school about certain things because I really didn't care. I didn't think that like deeply on some stuff. I didn't beat myself up on some of the things I did or said or whatever. And now I feel like I'm so hard on myself to like succeed and excel. But in high school, yeah, you just kind of like being a kid, you were just a kid and you were just getting through life the best you could. And that's all you really can do.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I feel like I need to be around like a younger demographic like more often because I'm always around like older people and
Mhm.
I just like youth. Like it makes me feel younger in like a good way, It's like refreshing. It's so refreshing.
It is so refreshing, and I'm also a youth group leader, which is
Yeah.
amazing, it's so much fun, and I always reminds me I've been a youth group leader for so many years now, but I go to camp a lot, right? Like, I've led like dozens of camps now. And it's funny, I was just talking about it because we had a meeting last night for camp, and I was like, for me, it's almost like, okay, another camp. Like not like, but you're like, I've been there, done that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the second you get to camp, you see the kids' joy, and you're like, what was I doing? Like, why am I so like, whatever? Why was I worried? Or why was I nervous? Or why was I bored? Or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
the second you see that like youthful energy,
Mhm.
everything goes away. Like it's so rejuvenating. And I feel like you're so right. Like just being around kids, it just changes things. Like they're just so youthful and bring so much joy to the situation. It's like amazing.
I love that. That's so I want to chat, kind of dive deeper into. So you're a public school teacher, but you're also like a youth group leader. Kind of touch on that and how you juggle the two, and if it's been difficult, because I know
Yeah.
church and like public schools and all that. It's just like an interesting combination. So I'm curious on your experience.
Yeah. I'll say that It is tricky. Like teaching
I'm
public school and then being a Christian
sure.
leader can get like a little weird. And also the Christian youth group I work with, it's called Young Life.
Yeah.
But it takes place at my school. So like after school hours, it's on school's campus.
Yeah.
Um, and so that can be tricky
Yeah.
because like even more now, like my students see me as Miss Johnson, and then 5 hours later, I'm at the youth group talking about
Yeah.
Jesus as
Yeah.
Miss Johnson. You know,
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
be tricky. Um, and what I've found for myself is that I keep my classroom fully with like I don't mention the name Jesus, but I
Mm.
keep my actions the exact same. So like I think that there's like a great like the way that you want to share the gospel is not through words. Like you want to share the gospel through like how you're acting and the
Example.
way you're
Absolutely.
portraying yourself.
Yeah.
And that can be that can happen so easily in the classroom without kids even realizing it.
Yeah.
Like just continually showing them grace, having patience, showing love. Obviously, I'm not perfect. I'm not Jesus. So obviously I mess up on that all the time.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but I don't know. I feel like just showing it like that. And I've had multiple situations where later a kid has come back and been like, I didn't like, you never talked about being Christian, but I could always tell.
Oh,
Or
makes
like,
me
I
like
know,
emotional. Like,
I know. Or like I spoke on this, I'm really passionate about mental health and I speak on mental health panels sometimes at my school and like in our community. And the MC, one of them was like a pastor in our area and he didn't know me and I knew he was a pastor, but he didn't know me. And after I spoke, again, just not talking about Jesus, but just like portraying it, he came up to me and he was like, "You're a believer, huh?" And I was like, "I am." And that was like the best compliment I've ever received in my
yeah.
life. Like if someone can tell my love for Jesus without me having to mention Jesus,
Yeah.
like win because yeah. So I it can get tricky, but I always remind myself of that. And the background of my work computer says, let someone or be the reason someone believes in the goodness of God.
Oh,
And so every day I like see that and I think like, okay, be that reason. Like
yeah.
wake up in the morning and be the reason. Don't be it the other way around. Like the
Mhm.
last thing I want is for a kid to go to youth group and be like, Miss Johnson's a Christian.
Yeah.
Like, have
Yeah.
you seen how she acts or something? Like, I don't want it. I want them to see like that makes sense, you know? So I don't know. I try to just live it out as much as I can. Um, if kids ever have questions, if it's during class time, I'll say like, come talk to me after and I'll like talk to them.
Yeah.
But what ends up naturally happening is the youth group kids are the kids that end up becoming close to me. And so
Mhm.
they're the ones that are like in my classroom at lunch and before school. And so it's easier to like they talk about it. Like they'll be like, "Oh, I was reading in my Bible today." And I'm like, "That is so amazing," you know?
Mhm.
Um, so it does allow like further reach,
Yeah.
but also I'm not reaching by
Mhm.
preaching Jesus. I'm just trying to do it by like actions, if that
Example.
makes
No,
sense.
I love that. That's like the perfect way to do it. And you definitely like I like can see it when I like chat with people, like you just have that joy. Like you have that light in you and I can just tell. And I think that's probably what drew me to you in the first place on social media, just because you are that light and that's the people I gravitate towards. And it is so cool just because like I didn't know you were Christian right away. I had no idea because I feel like you put it in some of your content, right? Like
Yeah, but it's not a lot of it because it's
yeah,
also
it's
like that can get tricky
yes,
too, you know?
yes, and yeah, trust me, I was nervous even bringing it to the light of my content because it's such a controversial topic, but the more and the deeper I've like dived into my faith, because it's more recent for me, like it's within the last like year, 6 months that it's became more and more part of my life, but the closer you grow to Jesus, it's like you can't not talk about it. So I'm sure there is there like moments where you almost like trip up and you're like, whoa, like in the classroom
Yeah,
because it
yeah,
just like comes out, like sometimes it's
yeah,
situationally and I'm like, that's my answer to a question, I'm like, well, it's my faith. So
yeah.
um
No, that is something definitely I've noticed with sometimes like kids will ask me for advice and
yeah,
like I want to tell them like, well, have you prayed about it?
yeah, yeah, it
Or
would literally
like,
be me.
or like there's this Bible verse that's really
Yeah,
good, you
yeah,
know, but I can't necessarily say that.
yeah,
I remember I got to give the keynote speech at my graduation that like just a week ago. And at my school's graduation, and I gave them like words of advice. And one of the advice that I gave was about perseverance, which is my favorite verse from James 1:2, where it says, like, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, the testing of your faith develops perseverance. And I wanted so badly to say the verse, but I was like, I can't be like in the Bible, like to this public school with 10,000 people at the graduation,
Right.
But I just kind of like went around it and like used some of the words. And then after, I had so many families coming up to me being like, you were talking, like, you're talking about James, or like, that's a Bible verse. And I was like, oh, good. Like,
Yeah.
they're just like little like Jesus breadcrumbs that like you only know if you're kind of looking for them.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
you're still planting that seed for so many people, like in such a natural way. Like not in obviously a wrong way, but like the fact that you're leading by example and you're able to still like, incorporate and be a Christian. And I think that's beautiful. Like I think that's so cool. And I think it's, that's just God's giving you all those opportunities, to like spread his word in the way that you can, in the best way that you can. And I think you're doing a great job. And that literally makes me so happy. I literally have like tears in my eyes when you're talking.
thanks. Yeah. I try to be like as joyful as Jesus I can, but also as understanding, because my family's actually not religious. I'm the only one in my family that is. My mom grew up in the Mormon church. And then when she was 18, she left, and my dad isn't religious. And so I grew up not going to church, not talking about God, not knowing anything. And so I think because of that, I have like a very open mindset to everyone, like whatever they want to believe. I'm like, good for you. Like what, I don't know. I'm just like, try to be like as accepting as possible. Which I also think has helped, because a lot of people get turned off if you're like that's all you care about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like just being like, oh, that's super cool. Or like, I love learning about other religions. Like I just think it's super fascinating. And so obviously I know what's true, but like, I love learning about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that has helped me, I think, like just be more open to everybody, but by also being like, but this is Jesus. But like, I love that you do this.
Yeah. Right. No, I totally get it. I love that.
Yeah.
That is a really cool like perspective, just to like grow up and not have God, be grown up in a church. Because for me, I was born Catholic and grown up Catholic, but I wasn't like in the church every Sunday. I feel like when I was younger, definitely more, but as I grew up, got in sports, got busy, like that part drifted from our lifestyle. So it's cool to like see though, once we become adults and we can like actively choose and, pursue whatever we choose to. It is cool just like that you can still, have relationships and still be close with your family, even though you have different beliefs and stuff. And I feel like that part sometimes people don't understand. It's like, oh, my family doesn't believe this, like I can't. It's like you do whatever you want to do. And yeah. That's so cool. I was curious. I want you to kind of touch on the journey you're now on. So you were a high school teacher and now you got displaced. Is that the right term for it? Okay.
Yeah.
And now you're going into fifth grade, right? Fifth grade. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, kind of just touch on how that process has looked for you, what you've learned, how you've adjusted. Just share it. Cause I'm sure a lot of teachers experience this as well. And so yeah, I'd like to hear about it.
Yeah. I feel like it's something that is so common in the teaching realm, but like nobody talks about it. Displacements are like, they happen all the time, like all the freaking time. And right, like, I don't know. So basically a displacement is when I'm tenured in my district. So I'm like locked in, I am fully credentialed, I'm there, like I'm everything. But what happens is they have budget cuts, or they have like section changes, or especially with subjects like math, when you teach like one subject, sometimes like they don't need as many teachers the next year. Like it just happens, and it's always a seniority thing. And it just they just count up from the bottom. And so my school is switching like layouts. We used to teach in trimesters, now we're teaching in semesters. And through that layout, they are losing a lot of sections. And so there's 4.5 teachers that they just like cut up and sliced out. And I'm lucky enough that I also have my elementary credential. And so when they moved us, I was lucky that I could find another position. And so I got moved to a 5th grade position. Actually, really cool. This, like, you're going to be mind blown by this. A 5th grade position at my elementary school, replacing a teacher that's retiring. Now get this, the teacher that's retiring is the third grade teacher that made me want to be a teacher.
I just got chills in my whole body.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. So Mr.
Oh my
H is
God.
his name. And so Mr. H was my third grade teacher that made me want to be a teacher. He now teaches fifth grade. He's finally retiring after like 30 years or something. And that's the opening that I'm taking.
What?
Isn't that
That's
crazy?
so
Yeah.
crazy. Like that
Yeah.
is such a God thing, you know? Like I'm sure that's such a hard
100%.
transition. Like you love your job and you loved being a high school teacher, but like I'm sure that gives you so much like peace and comfort and knowing that you were meant to be in that fifth grade classroom.
The amount of peace it gave me. And so when it happened, obviously I was shattered. Like I
Yeah.
was so heartbroken. And they told us in a lunch meeting, and then they were like, okay, go back and teach. And I
Oh,
was
I would have
yeah, And I don't know a lot of teachers that love their job more than me. Like I'm sure there are plenty,
yeah,
but like everyone knows it. It's so known at my
yeah,
school, like how
yeah.
much I just am obsessed with my job.
Mhm.
And so when people found out too, they were like, teachers were coming up to me, like hugging me and being like, we are so sorry. And I was like, so it was really hard.
Oh,
But I will say that I kind of had this like awakening moment. And my mom, who's not religious, but she kind of gave me this moment
mhm.
where she let me cry, she let me be sad. And then she was like, okay, but now like we need a transition and you need to figure out how you're going to be the best teacher to those to those fifth graders.
Oh,
And I feel like that like to me resembled what Jesus would do. Like
ah,
in the Bible it says that Jesus wept. Like Jesus wept with them,
mhm.
and then but also was like, okay, but like this is God's plan. Like this is what's going to happen, and we're going to persevere, and we're going to, um and so I had to shift my mindset. And as much as I don't want to leave, like selfishly, I'm like, I don't want to. I want to be there.
Yeah,
Um, I had this mindset of like, everyone always says, like, oh, everything happens for a reason, or like God's plan. And that's all well and good until something negative happens in your life. And you're like, yeah, God, what's
yeah.
your plan?
Like
You
what
know?
the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And this was, I feel like, actually the first time where I've had like a really hard thing happen.
yeah,
And it's shifted my mindset to, instead of asking God, why are you doing this to me? Like when I was 19, my parents got divorced. I was like, why are you doing this to me?
yeah.
And I was almost mad at God.
Mhm.
Um, my mindset, instead of being like, why are you doing this to me? Like, you must not be real. You must not be good because this isn't good. My mindset was, how amazing is it that I now have someone to lean on
Yeah,
that knows the situation? So,
yeah,
like, it made me feel like so crazy how people can go through hard things without having God. Because how comforting is it to know that even though I don't understand what's going on, I don't know how to handle it, like I don't know how to navigate it and I don't get it, but there's a God that loves me that does know. And even
Amen
though
to that.
I don't know it right now, like I can't figure it out, but the fact that I can have hope in him, because
Mhm.
no matter what, bad things are going to happen to you, whether you love God or not, whether you're Christian or not, bad things are going to happen to you. I feel like once you accept, like, yeah, bad things might happen, and you can have two mindsets. You can have the mindset of like anger and hatred towards God, or you can have the mindset of, I have someone to lean on during this time. And how good is it that he ultimately already knows the plan? It
Yes,
was like the most relieving feeling for me once I finally like
sure.
let that happen. Like, I don't know why for so long I feel like I've been a Christian for like 10 plus years of my life, but I felt like I've never felt like that. Like I haven't had that feeling of like peace with the situation. And then I remember like people always saying, and there's probably a verse somewhere in the Bible, but like where God is present, there'll be peace in it. So
Yes,
like,
yes. I always say that.
yeah.
Yes.
And I even though it's sad and I'm like heartbroken to leave, I have a lot of peace with it. And then I think like there's been breadcrumbs, like Jesus breadcrumbs again, of like peace where like I'm replacing the fifth grade teacher that made me want to be a teacher. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's at my old elementary school. My mom lives 8 houses down. Like I can like, my mom's like, I can bring you lunch. Like there's
Oh,
little breadcrumbs I've had. Like one of my youth group girls, her sister is going to be a fifth grader. And the mom texted me and she was like, we are praying that she gets in your class. Just like little things
yeah.
of like, okay, I can do this.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
so even though it's hard, I think once I changed my mindset to, okay, but Jesus is so good and
Mhm.
that there's a plan in this, it made it so much easier. Like I'm not mad about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. Cause like too, like even for people who aren't teachers, like you said, like we're gonna go through hard things and just trusting in him and understanding like you have two mindsets and you can be upset or you can just accept it and trust in him and allow that to bring you closer to him and put more faith into him. And it's a test. Like some things like it's not easy. It's definitely not gonna be easy. And I know there's gonna be more trials and more tribulations like further down the road, but just like hearing those little bits and pieces, you know, and like all the little breadcrumbs, like it's just so comforting to know that he's always there, you know, and like, oh, that just makes me like
Yeah.
laugh. That's such a cool story. And I love that. And I'm so excited for you. And I'm so excited for all the fifth graders that are going to be in your class because yeah, there's most definitely a big reason that you're going to be teaching in that school. And I'm so excited for you because it's going to be amazing.
Thanks. I'm like starting to just think about like, oh my gosh, how do you teach fifth grade?
No, that's
But
gonna be a
I'm
big
excited.
transition for
Yeah. It's
sure. But
funny. Parents keep finding out that I'm teaching it and they're like, oh, I hope my kid gets you. And I'm like, really?
really?
I don't know how to teach
I'm just
fifth
winging
grade.
it.
I'm like,
But
I've never done it before, but okay.
no, you'll do so good. I think that yeah, no matter what, like you have such a passion too for teaching and like the kids, like I don't know, I feel like you could literally teach anything, any subject, any age, and you would do amazing at it. So I'm so excited for you.
Thank
But
you.
I guess other than like teaching, you are on social media like big time, and I understand like time commitment that takes, and I understand the work, and you practically have like two full-time jobs, I would say. Like it's a lot of work. And
It's,
so I'm curious, like we did touch on like you started on YouTube when you were younger, and then you started posting on social media. Um, what was it like off the start? Like, did you kind of pop off right away or were you just doing it for fun? What did like the course of like the beginning look like for you on social media?
yeah. So when I started teaching 4 years ago, I started that YouTube
Yeah.
and yeah, I feel like you could go back and watch the videos and it's probably so embarrassing, but um, I really, really loved it. It was just
Yeah.
way too time consuming for me. Like YouTube is a lot.
Oh
And
yeah.
I feel like people like recognize like you're filming because it needs to be longer videos. So you're filming for so much longer. And now you have like 2 hours of content that you're trying to edit down. It's just
Yeah.
like, and you need like so much like storage and software and like hard drives. It's a lot.
Yes.
Uh, so anyway, that's one part of it. I started there and then I also made like a teacher Instagram from that. And then that built up. I had like 20,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is kind of
Wow.
yeah, I'm like, I
That's
guess
a lot.
I still have the YouTube page. Like I can always go back, I guess. But
Yeah.
and then from that I got like an Instagram and was posting a little bit, but to me, Instagram was always like way too formal. Like I like wasn't good at posing and like I just wasn't good at it. And so I never really did that much with it. I built it up to like 5,000 followers.
Mhm.
Um, and then I just kind of like reversed and just like didn't really do anything with it. And then like 2 years later, it was January of 2023 is when I started TikTok because I would sometimes like go back on my old YouTube videos and people would comment like, you should start a TikTok. And I'm like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
So then I just finally did it and genuinely just because I love my job. And I literally just wanted to show people that I love it and that teaching is really fun.
Yeah.
And I also just like love my life in general. So I was like, I want to show them my fitness and like this and you know what.
Yeah.
And so I started in January of 2023 and honestly never stopped. Like I haven't had a low point. I've had like a week where I was at camp.
Yeah.
I didn't post anything, but for the most part, like I've never really stopped. And I think it's just because it's such a creative outlet for me. And I'm just a yapper. So it allows me to yap and talk and
Yeah.
share. Um, so yeah, that it started there. And I was posting like 2 to 3 a day for like a month and a half. And then I had like one video go viral.
Yeah.
It was like a day in the life of a teacher and it got like 5 million views. I remember being like so mind blown. I woke up in the
Yeah.
morning, I posted it. And at that point I was getting like maybe 2,000 views per video.
Mhm.
Like I wasn't doing anything, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
maybe a little more, but like right around there.
Yeah.
And then this video just like popped off. And I remember waking up and it had like 500,000 views. And I was like, oh, like freaking out.
Yeah.
And I had to go to school that day. And with viral videos,
Mhm.
typically also comes negative comments.
Oh yeah.
And I don't get that many, but there were
Still
some on there.
there. Yeah.
And I remember, this is so funny. I don't know if this is allowed, but one of my TAs, and he's a really awesome kid. I've known him now. He's a youth group leader with me. He's great. But I was like, you need to go through this and delete negative comments because I can't see them. And if I see them, I'm going to start crying. And so I gave my phone to my TA and he was like going through
I love
deleting
it.
like negative comments because I was scared to see them. But then from that just like helped me. I think it gave me encouragement of like, okay.
Yeah.
And I just from there just like kept going. And then I just like literally never ever stopped. And I think something a lot of people ask me like, oh, like how do you start and like how did you get famous and da, 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 which is funny because I don't see myself as that. But
Right. I
I
know.
just say like I think it's because I didn't conform to any other creator. Like I just did what I wanted.
Yes.
I wasn't trying to be another teacher TikToker or another fitness TikToker. Like I was just like
Being
gonna talk. I don't know. Like I quickly found out like the cute little videos to music like weren't for me. Like I don't know how to make them. Or like like the ASMR videos,
Yeah.
can't do it. Like, I just did what I like,
Yeah.
which typically is a vlog and they're typically like 2 to 3 minutes long and
Yeah.
I just would post them.
Yeah.
Um and I just kept going and kept going and kept going. And then started getting like little brands like reaching out to me. I remember I made this video being like, I hate protein powder. Protein powder is disgusting. Like I hate it. And then like Clean Some Leads DM'd me and they were like, we'd love for you to try our protein powder. And I was like, I hate protein powder.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, but we think you'll like this one. And I was like, okay. And then they sent it to me and they didn't have me make a video or anything, but I made one. Oh, yeah, thumbs up.
That happens to me too.
But anyway, I made one and I was like, wait, this is good. And so then naturally, like authentically, I think you could see my joy of like what I liked.
Yes.
And then it like kind of started taking off and people were buying things. And I was like, this is crazy. I remember my first month was in June of 2023 making money and I made like $56. And I was like,
like internet money, baby. Yeah.
I was like, this is the best thing ever. And then I just like, I just kept going. And then in September, I had a video go viral, but like bad viral, like very negatively. Okay, I need to stop doing that with my hand. Anyway, very negatively viral. Like it was me talking with my students and that class, which most people don't know, that class there was 23 boys and 3 girls in that class. I don't get to choose who's in my class. Like it was just the roster. And so in the video, you hear me talking to mainly boys. And so people were like, she hates girls. She's going to go on the news. Like it like went crazy. I would say it was probably like 60% positive, but like 40% negative. There was a lot of negative and it was really, really hard. Like that weekend, I remember was so hard. Like my screen time was like 17 hours a day. Like I was just editing or deleting and blocking and like, oh, I was crying. I was making response videos. Like it was horrible because I felt like, oh my gosh, I built up all these people that know how much I love teaching and it's all going to get ruined by like them not even knowing the content.
Who don't even know you and they don't even know the first thing about teaching. Yeah.
And so, but then I think from that, after like I kind of stopped, like the negative comments stopped and the positive comments started like taking over again. And it gave me a lot of encouragement, but it also did bring a lot of traction because it caught like 30 million views, which is like, like crazy. Yeah. So you can imagine the size of how much that is, and then the amount of negative comments with that, But then from that, it just like that, I think was like the boost that like gave me the encouragement of like, okay, I got through that. I can honestly probably handle any other hate that comes my way. So like,
I feel like every creator has that like specific moment, like and they're our most viral, but I'm like, half the time I'm gonna get hate comments now because my skin is so thick from social media and I used to be hypersensitive. But I'm like, people don't know me. They don't know the first thing about me. They're seeing a 30-second clip. Like, I'm like, you're just helping my engagement. Like, you're just pushing this video out more. I'm like, you're only gonna see more of me if you comment. Internet trolls can be so hard. And I'm sure too, like, with it being your literal career, that they're like, I can't even imagine that. Because like my career is what I like, you're in like 2 different worlds of like social media and your job. And
so when all those were coming out negative about me teaching, I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to get fired from teaching? Like it was 2 realms. Like I was like, am I social media is nothing compared to my
Yes.
love of
Your
teaching. So like,
career. Yeah.
is this, and I
Yeah.
remember I get a lot of people reaching out to me being like, how do you do it? Like, do you
Mhm.
have administrative approval? Like, are you allowed to do it? Like, how is it? And so after that video, I like reached out to my union and we like went through like, what am I allowed to do?
Yeah.
Am I breaking any rules? Like, I don't want to ever break rules. Of
Yeah.
course, I'm such a rule follower. So
Yeah.
I'm like, please, like, and then they basically were like, you can express yourself anyway outside of school hours. And so I kind of slowed down on like my recording during like class time,
Wow.
which I don't really do anymore. Even though I'm technically not allowed, like I'm allowed to do
Totally
it. They
fine.
were just
Okay.
like, this is the only thing we could see possibly like getting you in trouble. And so just to like edge on the side of caution, I just did that. And then I would say I'm a little more cautious about some of the content I post. Like, I mean, obviously I love fitness and
Yeah.
that comes with like wearing sports bras and like
Yes.
short
Yeah.
shorts. And so that I try if I do post in it, which I do, but
Mhm.
I really make sure it's not like in any suggestive or
Yes.
seductive way. Like
Yes.
it's typically just like I'm going to the gym or I would never film like a glute workout. Like
Yeah.
there's certain things that like
Yeah.
you know. And then yeah, there's other things I just feel like I don't really touch on. Like I'm not going to talk about like periods or menstrual
Yeah.
cycles. I don't want my 14-year-old
Yeah.
student to know, like there's just certain
Yeah.
things I
Yeah.
have limits on. But for the most part, I've kept it just myself.
Mhm.
And what's been really cool is some of my students' parents are my biggest supporters. Like they buy my codes, they follow me, they like repost my TikToks. Like some of my students' parents are seriously like my biggest fans. And it's so cool because I think that it brings the person behind the teacher,
Mhm.
Because how
Absolutely.
often, I'm sure you grew up like this too, where you're like, wait, like you see your teacher at the grocery store
Like
and you're like, they
they
don't
have
work
life
at the
outside
school.
of a school. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that me just like sharing about my whole life is like honestly, I think it's making people realize like I'm a human too.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
I can go like the amount of comments I get, again, not as much anymore, but I would get like how like you can't wear that to the gym. Like, do you see your students there? And I'm like, I'm a human. Yeah, I do. Like I go to the gym. And
Yeah.
it's so interesting because it's like, would you rather have me promoting that I like love Jesus and I'm a healthy lifestyle? I go to the gym, I don't really party, I'm like really joyful? Or would you rather me being like not showing anything and like getting blacked out on the weekends?
Yeah.
Like it's like
Exactly. Like, what do you like?
I'm
People
not promoting anything bad,
Yeah.
actually.
You really can't
So
win, I feel like, with
yeah,
some people. Like they're gonna find a negative in every single positive thing that you do.
yeah,
And but again, too, like it just goes to show like you're able to like persevere through that so
yeah.
well and like navigate it because I'm sure that's a lot. Like I pre-think a lot of my content because I'm like, how could this be perceived? Like you have to think like that, or you're gonna possibly expose yourself and portray it in a way you're not meaning. Because a lot of times when trolls come on, it's like, dang, I'm like, dang, how did I like not think that people would take it like that? Like I made a recipe the other day and I was like, I don't get how people don't get their protein in. Like just trying to like use a little catchy.
Oh, I actually am like gonna make that soon.
Oh my
The
gosh,
75
it's
gram
so
dip.
good.
I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
in it.
so good. But everyone's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like you're shaming people who can't get protein. I'm like, when have I ever shamed someone for not getting like, I'm like, that was not the
Yeah.
intention. But I'm like, you guys clearly, and the username's like nobody. Literally the name
Yeah.
just said nobody, or it was like
Yeah.
you were 475. And I'm like, leave me alone. Like I was just trying to like really emphasize the fact that like it's
Yeah.
easy to get protein in when you eat like a recipe like this. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I social media and people on there, it's just so hard. But I
Yeah.
like how you said, like you're very authentic to you. Cause that's always what I preach to. Cause I get a lot of questions too. And people are like, how do you start? What do you post? Like whatever. And it's like, and too, another thing I caught, you were like, you started because you like love it and you wanted to share it and you wanted to like shed light on like the positive side of teaching and how much you enjoy it. And it's like, that's exactly what I say about fitness. And it's like, that's why I started my accounts. I started mine in high school forever ago and it took till TikTok to blow up. And I didn't have any traction either, but I was like, I didn't start it to become famous and blow up. Like I started it because I genuinely love and have a passion for health and fitness and wellness. And I wanted to share that with people and show how you can do it. And I'm like, I think that's the secret sauce, to like creating a platform and being successful is doing it for the right reasons and like having that intention. And I think it's just so, I love that because I'm like, it makes sense. Like that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me with your success. Um, like at all. Cause it's like, that's, I think what it comes down to is like, those are the people who are going to be successful and actually make an impact too. You know, like you're able to actually help teachers and help students and, you know, create a positive space on the internet. Cause again, we need more, more of that on the internet as well. So, I love all of that.
Thanks. Yeah, I try to just keep it like as genuine as I can
Yeah.
because genuinely, like, I feel like it shows through when someone's just there for the money. Because, like, let's be real, like, you can make money. Like,
Oh yeah.
you can
Yeah.
make big
A
money. There's
lot
a
of
reason I am able to live and like I live in a nicer apartment.
yeah.
And it's not my teaching salary, I can tell
Yeah.
you that. Like,
Yeah.
but and that also gets into a really weird dynamic of, and I've noticed it especially as a teacher,
Yeah.
because it's known that we don't make a lot of money, right? So let's say then I go on a cruise. People are like, oh my God, there's no way you're affording that as a teacher. And it's like, yeah, I'm not. Like, I'm not. I put hours into this. Like, yeah, like you said earlier, it's 2 full-time jobs. Like,
Yeah.
I am putting in, 8 hours a day at school and at probably 5 to 8 hours
Oh,
a
I'm
day
sure.
after school with
Easily.
work. Like,
Yes.
it is, and it's a consistent thing where like I'll be with friends. I'll be like, guys, I need to go edit a video for like 30 minutes. I'll be right back. Like, and it's this weird guilt too. Social media likes to do this where it's like, well, why can't you upload it? And it's
Yeah.
like I'm
I
trying.
know.
Like, oh, you post a link and if or you post an outfit, and if you don't put that link up
Yeah.
there within 5 minutes, people are like, where's the link?
Yeah. Yeah. No, literally. Okay. It's funny you bring that up because I posted that recipe for the cottage cheese, like queso dip.
Yeah.
And I didn't post the actual recipe. I had it filmed, but I hadn't edited it yet. And they were like, oh, will it be helpful if you posted the recipe? And I'm like, give me a second to
Yeah,
breathe. I'm like, I have
I'm
a life outside of
trying.
filming. I'm like, it's drafted, it's going up tomorrow. I'm like, I need time to like edit and like
Yep,
make it good. I'm like, I can't, like, I could upload it without editing it if you really
yep,
want that, but like, no one wants that. And I'm like,
yep.
holy cow. I'm like, you have this, like, I'm human. So yeah, I can't even
Okay.
imagine though having like another full-time job on top of social media. I'm actually curious. I wanted to kind of dive more into that. Like, how do you juggle it all? Because like, what's your day to day look like? What's your routine? Do you wake up at like 5 a.m. and go to bed at like, how do you handle it all?
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it is. My typical routine is I wake up for work and I try to edit a video before work. So,
Okay.
I typically will wake up at like 6:30, and honestly, it's probably not the best, but like I stay in bed and I edit a video.
Yeah.
And then I don't post it yet because I've noticed like the timing of posting
Yeah.
at 6 a.m.
It
isn't the
affects,
best. So I just
yeah.
wait a little bit. I get ready, I do my whole thing, I get to school, and then I'll like try and upload it at some point during that time.
Mhm.
Um, and then my school day ends around like it kind of depends because my prep period is my last period of my day. So it ends between like 2:30 and 3:30, kind of whenever I can get out.
Yeah.
Um, and then I go to the gym, and typically I walk on the treadmill at the gym and I try to edit and upload another video during that time.
Smart. You have
Um,
to
and
stacking. I love it. That's what I
yeah,
always say. I'm like, those
yeah.
that helps.
Oh, and it keeps me focused if I'm on the treadmill, like doing
Yes.
it. So
Yes.
time flies. Like I'll look up and it's been 45 minutes
Yeah.
of me walking at an incline. I'm like,
Yes.
okay, I'll
It's
go.
good.
Yeah. So that I'll do that. And then typically like during the school week, I can get 2 videos up.
Yeah.
Some days I'm like really popping off and I can get 3. Some days I can only get 1, but
Yeah.
I've like given myself grace with that. Because I didn't before. I was like, you
Yeah.
need to get 3, and it like was impossible.
Yeah.
Uh, and then yeah, so it is. And okay, so I'm also a youth group leader, so I lead youth group on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Oh, wow.
And so that also takes up a large amount of time. So typically it's wake up early, school, gym, come home and make some sort of really quick dinner, hopefully try to edit something, um, or just like reply to DMs,
Yeah.
and then go to whatever the next thing is. I have learned that I am okay with saying no to hanging out with friends,
Mhm.
uh, which is something that I love and don't love because I want to see my friends and I
Yeah.
don't want them to think I'm like you're nothing. I have to get this done, you know?
Mhm.
But I've also learned like it is okay though. Like my friends, I've had them for my whole life too. So they're very understanding of it's like, guys, wait, I'm so sorry. I'm exhausted. I can't go.
Yeah.
But I also, yeah, I just kind of do that. And then I do it all the next day. I kind of feel like I have like filming times. Like morning routines are really common for me. after school routines are really common.
Mm.
Talk like a casual, like one talking video is pretty common. So yeah, but that's like the actual breakdown of it. But I would say it is tricky, but my mindset of it is teaching will always come first to me.
Mhm.
So like if I'm overwhelmed or if I'm tired or if I had a bad day or if for some reason in the future my principal or administration's like you can't do this, no, I would end social media in 1 second to
Yeah.
continue teaching. Like teaching is my life because I'm at the point now where financially I don't need to be teaching. Like I could just be doing social
Yeah.
media. But that is like not, well, one, my social media is about teaching, so that makes no
Yeah.
sense. But
Yeah.
two,
Yeah.
like it's not what I want. Like I want to be teaching all
Mhm.
day long, every day.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's a balance. I slowly, about like in January, I introduced Instagram back in like full speed because I wasn't full speed on Instagram. Like I was like very hit or miss.
Yeah.
And now I've been really consistent with it too. And I love it. It brings me a lot of joy now. I found like my niche with it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I try my best. It does take over a lot of my life. Like my screen time is high, but also like it
It's
just
your job though. Like
that's
it's
just
just
yeah,
it's
like it
part
just
of
kind of
it.
has to
Like
be. Yeah, but again, like if I'm with friends or like I haven't talked that much about like my boyfriend yet
yeah.
because I think I'm fearful of it ending or like I don't know, like fearful of
It's hard.
rejection.
Having relationships on the internet is scary. I went
Yeah.
through an internet breakup and I was like I lived with him and I was like back at my parents and people were like, "Why are you home?" Did it? I'm like, "I don't talk about it right now. Like, actually, give me grace. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going through a breakup."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it's
I think that that is a balance. Like in the beginning too, I'm very like sometimes it'll be like a weekend and I go with him and I don't upload one video. And
yeah.
the guilt I would feel with that, but now it's like I have that balance now where it's
Mhm.
I don't feel that as
Mhm.
much. But
Good.
yeah, it's a lot. It
Yeah,
is. And
sure.
I think that people on the outside don't realize how much social media is. Like it is work.
Yes.
And
Yes.
but I love it and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And it's amazing, but it's not like, oh, let me just
Yeah.
upload my cute little video for and it takes me 3 minutes and
Yeah.
I'm uploaded. Like it's hours. And I don't think people know that, but
No,
that's
no,
okay.
but I'm glad that you're equally enjoying both, and that's so cool that you can do both, and you're able to juggle both, and still also juggle a social life and dating. And I mean, like at our age too, it's just like I feel like we're in the height of everything. Like we still have to hang out with our friends a lot, and do this and that, and like you're a youth group leader, like you have so much going on, but the fact that you can and still do enjoy it. Like you're doing it all, but you're enjoying it all is like so cool. But that just goes to show like you truly are passionate about everything you're involving yourself in. And that's always what I preach too. I'm like, if you're doing what you love, like you'll never work a day in your life. I always say that. So I'm sure like obviously it's a lot of hard work and like dedication and consistency, but like you look like you absolutely just love every day. Like you
Yeah.
are just so joy filled and I can tell. So I'm happy for you and yay, I don't know. I'm just so excited and
Yeah.
you're gonna do so many good things in the next 5, 10, 15 years on
Thanks.
social media and in the classroom and everything. Um, to wrap it up, I always ask people like a favorite quote. Do you have like a favorite quote or even a Bible verse that you kind of like live by or love and just constantly remind yourself of?
Yeah, I feel like I actually already said it in this episode. I
Oh
didn't even think
yeah,
about it,
yeah,
but it's the be the reason someone believes in the goodness of God.
yeah,
And I think that that just brings everything right back. Like when I'm stressed or I'm mad or I'm happy or I'm sad, like when I'm feeling any emotion, remember that I'm representing the kingdom. And that is, I don't want me as an imperfect human to sway why someone wouldn't love Jesus.
yeah.
So I like try to remind myself, like, do everything so
That's
that people
such a.
believe
I'm gonna like take that with me and like that's gonna be my new thing because I've like heard that, but I've never like that's good. Like that's really really good.
yeah. So that's probably one of my, I mean, I have so many favorite verses, but we'll just keep it at the quote. So
Yeah, no, I love that.
there.
That's perfect because it kind of encapsulates everything. Um,
Yeah.
and then is there anything else you want to share, I guess, before we wrap it up?
Honestly, no, but I'm like so excited that this happened. Like
Me
it makes me be like,
too.
maybe I should start a
No,
podcast.
you
I
would
don't
be
know.
so good at a podcast. It is going to be another load to your workload,
I
but
know. I'm like, I don't know if I can handle it, but maybe.
I think you could. Like you seem to have a pretty good routine and you get everything
Yeah.
done anyways. And you would be so good at it. I think
Yeah.
podcasting's my favorite. It's how I feel like I can connect the best to my audience and just be the realist and like having conversations like this. This is the best thing ever. Like this is so cool that we're able to connect from like so far away and like chat about everything we chatted about. I love it, and you would do really, really well in it.
Thanks.
But before we hop off, do you want to like plug yourself? Tell everybody where they can find you on TikTok, Instagram, like your usernames and all that.
Yeah, so my username is Miss Johnson Teaches on both platforms. I think one of them has an extra S and one doesn't. I can never remember, but if you just type it in, you'll find
Yeah,
me.
you'll find it.
So yeah, I am on TikTok and Instagram, and then we'll see if other things come
Yeah.
out from there. We might. I have a Facebook, but that's just because I had negative Facebooks and people were like
Oh my
making.
gosh.
They were like pretending to be me, and so I was like, oh, I guess I have to make one so like I can get rid of those. So
Yeah.
I'm Facebook. I don't really post on it, but yeah.
But okay, everyone follow her. I love your content. This is so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on. I absolutely love this. And yeah, I hope you start a podcast in the future.
Oh my gosh, no, thank you. Like this is the best.
Of
Thanks.
course. Bye, guys.
Bye.